So everybody who comes on is, I'm not going to say like a failed actor, but they're not going to be your big name people, but they're also not going to be like, we found this guy in Ohio who's just like really been into Alexander the Great for the last 40 years and we're going to bring him in, because that guy would be a freak. You don't want that guy. You don't want the guy to be like, actually, these are not period correct shields that they're using when they were fighting the Persians at this time. And you don't want that guy. You want a guy who's just like, I got a big sword. I'm gonna fucking hit some meat with it, and we're gonna do some science with that.
I feel like we don't want to be getting too far into the historical accuracy here. I think that's a big priority for the producers, lest they discover that some of the shit they're saying is not strictly accurate.
Oh, none of the shit that they're saying is strictly accurate. Again, going back to the IRA versus the Taliban, a lot of the weapons that they were giving to one another, it's like everybody was, all sides were using this. Like, well, we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to see who's going to win here. Personally, I think I feel like since the Taliban has beaten the Americans and the IRA did not necessarily beat the British, I feel like the Taliban should get a little bit. But this is 2010. We hadn't lost Afghanistan. Well, I mean, we had lost Afghanistan. We just didn't know we had lost Afghanistan by then. We needed another 20 years of a big money pit to dump all of our blood and treasure into. So let's get to our one-on-ones here. So first up, we have the ballista from Alexander the Great versus the Scythian axe. These are considered the special weapons. Usually special weapons have some kind of, I wouldn't put a siege weapon against an axe, is what I'm saying. But like, they didn't really have anything else. Attila the Hun didn't have artillery, but Alexander the Great apparently did. He had this thing that could fling big arrows and rocks. So they go out into what I believe is a cow field, just because there were so many cows walking around in the background quite often. A lot of the times when they do the stuff where they go out to the range, they're having to actually go to gun ranges and bomb ranges. So you can see like there's a quarry that they're in. It's a very familiar quarry. If you were also watching a lot of Mythbusters at the time, I think it was the same like quarry that they went and blew up trash trucks inside of as well. But now we get these beautiful green rolling fields because we have no explosives to use. We're just hucking arrows back and forth, maybe some rocks and stuff like that. So the ballista, how do you feel about the ballista, this ancient siege weapon?
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like the ballista would probably not have been in that much heavy use by Alexander the Great, because as far as I know, I'm aware anyway, the ballista was like mostly a Roman weapon. Like it seems like it originated from some designs that were Greek, and like Alexander the Great or Philip of Macedon may have used them, but like it's really like the ballista that people like, certainly the ballista they're using is fucking Roman 100%. Like there's no and also famously the ballista is like a piece of shit. Like it was the Romans, even the Romans themselves were like, oh, we just bring this out because it's scary. Like it fucking Gauls are fucking scared of it because it fires a fuck off massive bolt, and if it hits you it like chops you in half, but like it kills one guy. Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty much pointless in a battlefield context. So it's kind of weird that they're bothering with it.
There's not really any other cool weapons here, unfortunately. You know, when you're talking about ancient warriors, you basically come down to sword, spear, some other kind of bladed thing. But ballista is incredible. We finally get some kind of ranged weapon that they drag. And I like when they're kind of showing the downsides of it. They're showing the Alexander the Great guys just fucking struggle left and right, trying to because famously moving artillery pieces from one place to another throughout history has been a bitch and a half, because they're big, they're heavy. You don't necessarily have a good road to get there. You're taking it over uneven land. Sometimes it's muddy. And these guys are out on a really nice cow pasture, probably rolling through some cow shit, but they're even struggling to push this modernized version of a ballista out there and fire off some stuff. But once they do get it shooting, and once they do get it zeroed in, it's a pretty impressive weapon. They finally managed to, after a couple, they don't show the misses, but they do show the one hit that hits the guy's horse, like dead on in the chest.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to get hit by that.
No.
That would be my recommendation.
Which they do end up showing you later when they kind of lower it down. They put some foam bodies out there, put a bunch of blood bags inside of it, and start hucking bolts at that. One thing I love about this show sometimes is that the absolute abject glee that Jeff DeMolin has every time he gets to use whatever weapon it is. Because like that was the first thing he got down and he's like, yeah, yes, I want to start shooting arrows at these things. We've got like 7 of them out there. We've got 20 bolts, and we got a whole day out here. We're gonna shoot some shit. Whether we get it on film or not, I don't give a shit. But
yeah, well, that's why you agree to work on this show, is because you want to play with the toys. And that's the only element of it I respect. I'm like, yeah, sure, we'd all like to play with a ballista. Why not?
Absolutely. And set up some, blood bags and do a bunch of gel torsos with I want to meet the guys who built all the gel torsos, because every one of these has a gel head or something that they put a skull and a blood bag inside of, or like some fake brains to really, bring home the when you get hit in the head with an axe, you die horribly. But we need to show you
some
how.
of the fucking like fake body shit they've got going on here is absolutely baffling. It's like Baroque in its complexity. Like they've got the ones which are just kind of like fake human bodies where they're kind of like sort of ballistic torsos, I guess you'd say, and they've got like like fake organs in them or whatever. But then some of this stuff, I'm like, you're clearly building this yourself. Like this looks like a Halloween decoration. Like what the fuck is going on?
It is. When they brought those foam bodies out, I thought, okay, they've done this before, the foam mannequins. I did not expect that they had packed them full of blood, which is something that we'll come to again on some of the later things that they do here. Is
more blood bags than Brian Johnson.
Yeah, there are a lot of we stuffed Brian Johnson inside of here to see if he can still survive getting stabbed through the chest with a Ziston. Turns out vitamin D helps you with that. So